to give a big round of applause and bring him up. Professor Cash, are you ready?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Professor Cash, and today I'm going to introduce you to education economics and explain how the principles of economics can be used to promote desired behavior and maximize academic performance within the classroom. Now, before I get started, let me first give you some background on who I am. I am a Wall Street investment banker by trade. I am licensed by FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, as well as the SEC, which is the Securities and Exchange Commission. I also have a master's from NYU where I focused on economic development. Now, I know you didn't expect to receive a lecture in economics today, but if you don't know already, you will learn after this lecture that every decision you make is rooted in economics. But more importantly, every decision your students make is also rooted in economics. And as a result, there's an active economy that exists within your classroom. And as educators, you must realize this and be able to manage the economy effectively. So education economics helps educators identify the components of the economy, the classroom economy, and develop an economic equation, a formula, per se, a solution that can use to do three important things: influence, motivate, and promote desired behavior within the classroom to create a learning environment conducive to maximizing academic performance and test scores. I'm sure that is a lot to digest, but it will all make sense as I matriculate through my presentation. So if there aren't any questions, let's get started.
So when I tell people that I am a Wall Street investment banker, many people don't know exactly what that means. Has anyone seen the movie The Wolf on Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio? Well, strip out all the drugs and the sex and put me in the movie, and that's exactly what I do. One of the key takeaways from the movie, and the key takeaway I like to share, is that Leonardo DiCaprio was able to use the principles of economics to accomplish promoting desired behavior amongst his clients, amongst his staff, and amongst his peers. And during my time on Wall Street, I was able to work on the largest transaction in the history of the world, which is the $350 billion merger between AOL and Time Warner. And my task for that project was to write economic equations that were used to promote and predict how the stock market would react to the transaction. And ladies and gentlemen, the stock market is just a combination of individuals. So essentially, I was writing economic equations to promote and predict the desired behavior of individuals. So let's tie that into economics. Let's talk about economics and what economics actually stands for. What does economics entail? A lot of people think economics is a mathematical computation, but in reality, economics is psychology. It's a social science. Economics studies the behaviors of individuals' use of currency to achieve desired needs. So in that definition, you have highlighted behaviors, and this is what we're trying to capture within the classroom. How do we understand and better create learning environments where behavior is acceptable so that we can have a conducive learning environment for children? So let's get back to the definition of economics. In our economy, the economy that adults operate in a financial economy, okay? In our financial economy, the currency, which is part of the definition of economics, is cash, okay? Cash is king. in our financial economy. So the definition of economics was the study of behaviors of individuals' use of currency to acquire certain needs. So what are the needs that individuals are attempting to acquire throughout the day? Well, I'm sure everyone has seen this hierarchy of needs. There's a lot of debate about, how the order of needs are, but we can all agree that the first layer of needs is basic needs. And basic needs are exactly what they say they are: basic clothing, nutrition, and shelter. So immediately we have a basic equation that we have just talked about in these last 3 minutes, and that equation is currency equals basic needs. So this is the basic economic equation within our financial economy. If we go into a little bit more detail, that equation will look like this. Currency, which is money, equals food, shelter, and clothing. So visually, we can represent this equation as cash equals clothing, nutrition, and shelter. So, as I mentioned earlier, once you have an economic equation, you can manipulate either side of the equation to promote desired behavior. So in our financial economy, the currency is what's manipulated. The left side of the equation is used to promote behavior. Why? Because, as we all know, money motivates. This illustration captures the power of money. The majority of individuals within our financial economy, are motivated by money. So once again, as I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, that education economics will help teachers motivate children, similar to how cash motivates adults. But also, we're also going to show how education economics can influence behavior in a similar manner how money influences behavior. I'm sure you guys might have seen a bumper sticker similar to this one, and unfortunately for many of us, this bumper sticker is a reality. Okay? So, with that being said, as we have been discussing, now that we understand the equation, now we can manage behavior through a focused lens, because we have the equation. And this is true because the government manages behavior using these economic equations, and they're called U.S. economic policy, which are essentially laws. For example, when the government wants to encourage employment or discourage welfare, they'll write an economic policy where welfare benefits do not exceed entry-level job salaries. Have you guys ever seen a bumper sticker such as this? Welfare reform is a very hot topic in our society. Another example is healthcare. The government, Obamacare, they are trying to promote healthcare amongst all U.S. citizens by creating a penalty. So they're manipulating the currency by causing you a cost, which will make your ability to acquire your basic needs more difficult if you do not have health insurance. So they can curb individuals' behavior of not having health insurance by writing economic policy. This also works in the business sector as well. If the U.S. economy or if the government will like to encourage jobs, what will they do? They will tax businesses less to promote business expansion. So once again, I am managing the currency or access to currency by providing more currency to businesses so that they will expand, right? So businesses have basic needs as well. And if you are able to entice them, motivate them, influence them by writing an economic policy which takes advantage of the elements of the economic equation, you can curb and promote behaviors. So the question is, how can we write economic policies in our classroom that will promote desired behavior and maximize test scores? Many people think that, since I'm able to curb behaviors by managing currency, which is cash in a financial economy, we can motivate children by paying them for good grades. And this has been tried. This was tried in New York City, where they paid over $1 million to 1,000 school students. And what happened? It did not work. Overall test scores actually declined during this experiment. And, you're probably asking, well, Professor Cash, you just explained to us that, if you manage currency, if you manipulate the access to cash, you can curb or promote behaviors. So if I'm paying children to do well in school, I should be able to promote better grades in school. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I said currency. Currency is the key word here. See, children are operating in what I call an artificial economy. They are not operating in a financial economy. They are operating in a social economy. So their currency is not cash. So by manipulating or managing their access to cash, that will not promote or curb behaviors, because that is not the currency children are using within their classroom economy to acquire their needs. Does that make sense to you guys? So what is the currency within the classroom economy? Well, one of them is behavior. Children are maybe bullies because that's their currency that they use to acquire their needs. Other children may use self-appearance. They may think that self-appearance is the currency which is giving them access or better access to the needs that they desire. Another currency, and hopefully an important currency within your school system, is good grades. Okay, kids should feel that getting good grades is giving them the currency or enough currency to acquire their needs within the classroom. Another classroom currency that I've highlighted is athletic performance, competition. Who's the best at sports, or who's the best at writing or drawing or artwork. That competition or athletic performance, which I categorize it here, is a currency that children use to acquire their needs. Now let's talk about needs. In the financial economy, it was basic needs that were being acquired by adults, right? But in the classroom hierarchy of needs, the first two layers are automatically being provided to the students. So those needs, those basic needs, are not what children are expending their energy throughout the day trying to acquire. And what do I mean? Well, clothing is already satisfied through school uniforms. Nutrition is satisfied through free school lunch. Okay? What about shelter? Well, shelter is satisfied through the school building. Well, what about the next level of needs? Well, the next level of needs are safety needs. As adults, once we fulfill our basic needs, we want to feel some type of comfort, some type of safety that our basic needs or our ability to continue acquiring those basic needs are not going to be, removed from us or ripped from us. In the classroom economy, safety needs are already fulfilled in the presence of school security. And more importantly, through the presence of you guys, teachers and educators. So if the first two levels of needs in the hierarchy of needs are satisfied, well, what are children spending all day trying to acquire throughout the day? What are they focused on throughout the day? Ladies and gentlemen, they're focused on self-esteem needs, friendship, love, being part of a group, and as they get older, intimacy from their classmates. So as we look at the classroom economic equation, it's drastically different than the financial economy equation. So you cannot expect to get results by providing benefits to children through a financial spectrum. You have to look at it through a social spectrum. And I'll give you an example. As an investment banker, I provide financial advice to my clients. And if you were my client and I told you to stop working, you would not think that I was a good financial advisor, because in your mind, it is ingrained that you must work in order to acquire your basic needs. Your currency is cash. In order for you to acquire cash, you must work, right? If you do not work, you will not be able to fulfill your basic needs, and therefore you will starve. Okay, so let's transfer that to the classroom economy. If you had a bully in your class and you asked that bully to stop being a bully, okay? Well, you have just asked that bully to starve, because that bully's ability to acquire his needs, his or her needs, that self-esteem, particularly that friendship, is by being a bully. That's their currency. That's their currency to acquire their needs. And they, from their perspective, they see this as their way to survive. Just like an adult in a financial economy sees their way to survive is by going to work. Okay, so once you understand that in your mind, that these are currencies children are trying to acquire in order to get their needs, you can become a better educator and be more successful in managing your classroom economy and promoting behaviors that will result in a classroom environment that is conducive to maximizing test scores.
Great. So you must be asking yourself, well, how do I, as an educator, apply these economic principles within my classroom? Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we created Education Economics 101. See, Education Economics 101 is designed to provide educators with an economic equation that visually depicts the currencies within their classroom. With this equation, educators can now actively manage the currencies within their classroom and curb or promote behaviors by assigning appropriate valuations of each currency. If you remember earlier, the example with economic policy, U.S. economic policy, how the government is able to manage the currency or access to the currency. For example, the healthcare laws, they have penalized not having healthcare and it made it punitive enough where we will curb not having health insurance by affecting citizens access to that currency. So, for example, in the classroom example would be, if behavior is a problem within your classroom, education economics will create an equation, an economic policy that will make the penalty for bad behavior so punitive that the result would lead to that child's inability to generate enough currency to purchase their self-esteem needs. This will create a strong enough incentive or disincentive that will force the child to change their behavior habits. Education economics provides educators with a systematic plan and an equation, a formula. It's the answer that they can use to implement and adjust, that puts them in control of the values of the classroom currencies, therefore providing educators the power to promote desired behavior and maximize academic performance. Education Economics 101 is the solution for maximizing test scores. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Please feel free to reach out to me for more information about our research. Please use me as a tool to improve the performance of children within your school. Thank you and have a good night.